What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the product I just unboxed. You guys saw that intro, the Garmin Fenix 8 MIP edition, solar edition, in a 51mm casing. So this thing looks huge on me right now. For me, for my eyes, maybe for your eyes too. But that's because I've been wearing the 47mm Garmin Fenix 7. Why do I have these watches in front of me? Well, we're going to dive into that. Before I dive into it, I will say that this Garmin Fenix 8 was sent to me for the purpose of review. I do have to send it back unless I choose to purchase it eventually after all these videos. So we're going to test it out, put it through the ringer, see if it is worth the upgrade as opposed to the sticking with the Garmin Fenix 7. In my opinion, there are some really good features on the Garmin Fenix 8, whether that's the Solar Edition or the AMOLED Edition, that do separate it from the Fenix 7 line, especially when you think about other watches like the Apple Watch Ultra. And we'll get into some of that in a sec. Story time first, for those of you who do not know kind of how I dove into the world of watches, especially sports watches. So for those of you who don't know the story behind these smartwatches here that I have in front of me, which is the Apple Watch Ultra, the Garmin Fenix 7 Pro Solar Sapphire in a 47mm case, and the Coros Vertex 2S, which is like their flagship watch. Way back in the day, I had the Coros Apex Pro. That eventually bricked, and I got sent a Coros Pace 2 to replace that from Coros. This was, I mean, I had the YouTube channel, but I didn't get those watches at all for testing or anything. So I rocked the Coros Pace 2 for the longest time. The Apple Watch Ultra was released, and I was interested in the Apple series for a while, but always concerned that I would just beat them up and break them. Got the Apple Watch Ultra basically when it came out, maybe a few months after, and I rocked it for a solid year. Turned out the Apple Watch series just isn't for me. And you can watch kind of the short I made on that. But basically, it's too much of a phone on your wrist type scenario. Not enough of an active watch or a sports watch to track long days of GPS. For example, when I did the White Rim Road in Utah, which is a 100-mile bike ride, I logged 12 hours of GPS, and this thing almost died on me, so I almost lost that file. I was also tracking it on my Hammerhead, so I was just kind of testing out the Apple Watch Ultra to see how long it would last on GPS. Turns out not going to last a lot longer than 12 hours, at least for me. And I was using Work Outdoors, which is a whole separate app. I then reached out to Garmin, and they kindly sent the Garmin Fenix 7 Pro Solar Sapphire, which was a little bit older at the time when I reached out. The Garmin Fenix 8 wasn't released yet, but this watch had been out on the market for some time. I will dive into the comparison between these two watches and why I'm wearing the Fenix 8 now. But after wearing that for about a year, over a year, Coros reached out with a sponsorship opportunity, and they sent out some gear, which included the Coros Vertex 2S, the Coros Dura Bike computer, things of that nature. And so I took them up on that because I hadn't tried their flagship watch or anything like that. After wearing the Coros Vertex 2S, which is a tremendous watch, there was some things that I was missing that Garmin did offer. Nothing really from the Apple Watch Ultra, but Garmin did offer those things. So about 2 weeks ago, I threw my old Fenix 7 back on my wrist and kind of put the Vertex 2S in my bedside drawer and just haven't really looked back. I reached out to Garmin to see if they would let me try out a Fenix 8 because of the following features that we're going to discuss today. Yeah, that's my story. Let's get into the Fenix 7 and Fenix 8 comparison, because you guys are probably here for that. You guys don't care about these watches. So I'm going to take this thing off my wrist. There it is on my wrist. Many of you will probably say, wow, that's way too big on your wrist. I would probably agree with you right now, but you do get used to watches once you wear them for a while. I will bring in those watches just to compare the size. I do have a 165mm wrist, or like 16.5 centimeter wrist, if you want to think about it in centimeters. Real quick, let's take a look at the sizes here. Sorry if you guys are getting the glare. I'm going to put them right above the light. Okay. Coros Vertex 2S, Apple Watch Ultra. This is the Apple Watch Ultra 1. Not that it matters, the Ultra 2 is the same exact size as the Ultra 1. Garmin Fenix 8, 51mm casing. This is the solar version. Garmin Fenix 7, 47mm casing. Also the solar MIP version. I guess the Fenix 7 didn't have an AMOLED version. It was called the Garmin Epix. So straight off the bat, you'll notice that the Garmin Fenix 8 is the biggest one. And it's not even that close, to be honest. It is, I thought it was going to be more alongside the Vertex, but if you guys can tell, it's a lot bigger than the Vertex. So, well, I mean, I say a lot bigger. It does look a lot bigger than the Vertex 2S. Now, the reason I reached out to Garmin and decided to test out the 51, because I could have very easily asked to test out the 47, was because I was using the Vertex 2S, and when I went back to the Garmin Fenix 7 in a 47mm casing, it just felt dainty, it felt small, it felt tiny, but most importantly, the strap size. This is a 22mm quick release strap, and the Vertex 2S and the Garmin Fenix 8, well, or any previous Fenix generation in a 51mm casing, offer the 26mm strap, which I have found these to be more comfortable during runs, rides, whatever the activity, over the 22mm strap. Don't know why, it just is. So now that we've looked at sizes of these watches, let's get these two really out of the way and talk about the Fenix 7 and the Fenix 8. Let's put them over this way, because Fenix 7 left side, Fenix 8 on the right hand side. Now they are pretty much the same watch besides the case size, but they are supposed to be doing the same things. There's not a different step up in the quality besides the next generation model, and that's what we're going to talk about right now quickly, because I don't want to make this video too long, and then we'll dive into Fenix 8 features in other videos, so make sure you subscribe for that if you're interested. So this might be very hard to tell for you guys on screen, and forgive the reflection, I'm trying to get this light, or maybe it's easy to tell. I don't know. I'm trying to see if you guys can see that. But for me, there's an obvious difference, and I'm going to wipe this guy down. For me, there's an obvious difference in clarity between the Fenix 8 and the Fenix 7. That is because the Fenix 8 and the newer generation Garmin, solar generation of Garmin, so I believe the Enduro 3 as well, got rid of the solar, so there's like a piece of solar glass on the 7 that was supposed to help with the solar charging capabilities. I don't know how much it helped, and really it just kind of mucks up the screen. Like there's just, you lose a little bit of clarity. There's kind of a hue to it. If you're a Fenix 7 owner, you might know what I'm talking about, but really, I mean, it's hard to tell too. I'm also here in like my dimly lit basement. There's a spotlight here, of course, yes, but it is not the best. One thing that you might notice as well is the solar ring. So they got rid of the solar LCD display, or the solar display, I should say, that was covering the whole display of the Fenix, like you see here on the Fenix 7. But they also blackened the solar charging ring. So on the Fenix 7 and previous generation Fenixes, you can see kind of the charging ring on the edges, and on the Fenix 8 you can't. It just looks kind of like the bezel, or like the innards of the bezel, which actually makes the watch look a lot nicer in my opinion. It does have kind of like this Casio toy feeling when you can see that sort of, I don't even know what color it is, but like coppery solar ring on the Fenix 7. Now besides that, the physical differences aren't too big. They did change up the bezel design for the next generation Fenix, so the Fenix 8, which I definitely dig more than the old one. The old one was just kind of flat-faced bezel. Now it has like this nice curve to it and these nice little indentations, which the old one has, but they're just little lines. A little bit of difference there. They also changed the buttons up on the Fenix 8 to make them more water resistant for diving. So they'll last a lot longer if you do diving or any of that sort of stuff. One of the things that I'd be really interested to see for myself, not so much for you, but maybe it'll help you, is if I get along with this 51mm case size. I don't have massive wrists or hands or arms, so the 47 fit me quite well. The strap, I wish they did what Coros does, which is even in their smaller watches, not the Pace, but I believe the Apex 2 Pro, which is more of a 47mm case size, they have the 26mm straps. So Garmin with the 22mm straps, I think they try to make the watch a little bit more elegant, and especially the AMOLED version, the 47, does look a little nicer, and yeah, 22mm straps kind of work with that one. But I do dig the 26mm straps. I know I'm not the only one. I know you guys are out there that wish the 47 had the 26mm straps. It will be interesting to see if I get along with the 51mm case size for this watch. I have been wearing it for the last couple of hours. I mean, I'm kind of getting used to it already, and it's only been a couple hours, and I've been wearing this for weeks. I think if I went from the Coros Vertex 2S straight to the Fenix 8 and the 51, I think it would be an easier transition then as well. So a couple of the features on the Garmin Fenix 8 that I really dig, and I think that they kind of blend the line between the Fenix 7, the Apple Watch Ultra, into like this new form, are very simple features, but they make a huge difference for me. They might not for you. The voice commands are huge for me, and again, they might not apply to everyone. With the Apple Watch Ultra, I would do voice commands all the time. I would, hold down the button for Siri, say start 2-minute timer, things like that all the time. No one really wants to go into the menu to start a 2-minute timer. By the time you are in the menu and start the actual timer, your 2 minutes have already passed. So starting a 2-minute timer with a button, the press of a button, and your voice is something that is amazing. Not only that, but you can set different alarms. I've been playing with it just for the last hour or so. Check this out. I'll try to get this real close, and hopefully you can hear my voice. Start 2-minute timer. There is a little bit of a processing time, but boom, timer started for 2 minutes. If you want to check the timer, you can go into the menus and look for the timer, or you can hold down, and I just activated this as a shortcut, the top button, show timer. So there is the 2-minute timer that I set. It's gonna run out soon. That's amazing. Like, one of the things that I missed from going from an Apple Watch Ultra to a Garmin Fenix were just like little things like that Apple Watch users have had for generations and generations, like timers and things like that. Basically like a little bit of an assistant on your wrist. Now, this isn't gonna look up anything like Siri would, especially if you have the LTE on your smartwatch, but it can do really cool things too. Like the Garmin Fenix has a sun up and sundown timer. Features on the Garmin Fenix that you may be familiar with, you can pull up. What time does the sun set? Boom. Look at that. You can navigate menus, but you can also ask it for information that's within the watch. It's not going to look for something that's outside of the watch that's not native to the watch, obviously, but you can look for things in the watch through those voice commands. That's huge. I'm always setting timers too. I am a teacher, if you did not know that, throughout the year. So I'm always setting timers for different things that I need to do around the classroom. This year, actually, I'm going to be teaching PE, which is pretty exciting. I did everything to get my PE praxis done, and going to be teaching PE, so excited for that. Anyway, that is it. There's tons more to talk about on this watch, but this video is probably long enough already. What do you guys think? Garmin Fenix 8 51mm solar sapphire. There's not a lot of videos of this watch too, and so I'm interested in getting some content for you guys and the world of YouTube out there, because a lot of the love was given to the AMOLED version, the Garmin Fenix 8 in AMOLED, which I get it, but I think this is this is the real deal right here, the MIP edition. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see about the 51mm Garmin Fenix 8 MIP Solar Edition. And yeah, I will be taking it on a 100K run next weekend. So going to be testing out the battery life there, and going to be doing some fun videos comparing the Garmin ecosystem with the Coros ecosystem with the Apple Watch ecosystem. Also the light, dude. The light, the last few weeks I've been getting up before family to go on runs, and just having a light on your wrist, like navigating a dark house before you go on the run to gather your things, it's useful. So Garmin Fenix 8, let me know what you guys want to see. Subscribe for more. Thanks.